A very good evening to one and all present. Welcome to a brand new episode of View TV by Vijay Bhumi. It's definitely also a very interesting episode, an episode that I have been looking forward to. And what we're going to be discussing today is why India wants cryptocurrency. It is my honor and privilege to be joined by our guest speaker today, Ms. Tarusha Mittal. Before I go on to talk a little bit about Tarusha, I think it's important to set in context what we're going to be discussing today. So, India today has a range of factors supporting its case for using cryptocurrency, including the growing appetite of the citizens to make it the next crypto hub of India. This is what we're going to be discussing today. So while your citizens want cryptocurrency to be legalized and for it to be allowed to be traded in India, on the other hand, we are also facing this iron fist which is being imposed on us by the government, where they seem to be very reluctant to allow cryptocurrency trading in India and to allow any sort of trading of digital currencies. So this is what we're going to be discussing today, along with understanding from Tarusha that what is cryptocurrency, what is the technology that supports cryptocurrency, how does it work, how does the future look for youngsters like us who probably want to invest in cryptocurrency? Is it a safe investment or not? So we're going to be addressing all these wide gamut of questions in our session today. And I don't think we could have had anyone better than Tarusha to address all of these questions. So Tarusha is the CEO and co-founder of Oro Pocket, a universal investment platform on blockchain. So Pocket basically enables users to invest in fractional investment instruments. For now, they are offering vaulted gold and silver in India and recording asset ownership using blockchain. As you all know, blockchain is the supporting technology that supports digital currencies. She was also part of the founding team of ETHX, which was one of the first Ethereum exchanges of India. As you know, Ethereum is one of the digital currencies that is traded. She's an award-winning entrepreneur who has been in the tech space for nearly a decade. She's also a podcast host and an anthology author. Thank you so much, Tarusha, for joining us today. It's truly our honor and privilege to have you on this episode.
Oh, I am so glad you called me. It's my honor. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm really happy that you reached out, and I'm looking forward to this.
I am so happy to hear that. So everybody who's joined us today on the live session of this episode, guys, let's make this interactive. Please feel free to ask us a lot of questions. I know a lot of you guys have discovered the chat box feature. Please put in your questions there because we would like to address your questions. So I will make sure that I'm picking up a lot of questions from there and posing it to Tarusha. So without further ado, let us get started into this episode. So Tarusha, the moot question today: what do you think will be the government's policy on cryptocurrency in the near future?
Okay, so that's like asking me to predict the future. But I would ideally, the idealist in me would like to think that the government would like to create policy around it, legalize it, tax it, basically have clear laws around digital currencies, crypto tokens, and blockchain in general. Because the irony here is that the government wants to push for blockchain innovation, but they also want to put a clamp down on cryptocurrencies, which is a very natural sub product, or what you can say. If you're putting in blockchain in place, then you are essentially tokenizing something. And if you're tokenizing something, then you are creating tokens. So you can't say that, okay, we are going to push for blockchain. Like Niti Aayog has an entire, they have their own chain. They push for a lot of blockchain innovation, yet say that, okay, no, we don't want crypto tokens. I think, they are both two sides to the same coin. And ideally, the government should, as I said, should create policy around it, and we have clear-cut policy so that the end user is also protected, and businesses can thrive in this space and innovation can be driven. But right now, with the kind of the Subhash Gar committee, the kind of bill draft that they have right now doesn't it's a little scary. But I have also heard from some of my lawyer friends and people in the IMAI that they are looking to stakeholders are speaking to the policymakers, and that particular report by the committee is ultimately it's just a draft, and we don't know what the final thing would look like. Hopefully, before they table it, we'll be able to get some stakeholders to put the right kind of information in those policymakers' heads, and they can come up with something which is actually fruitful and useful for the end user as well as for the companies.
The other question is, Tarusha, like, why do you think as an economy and as a country, why do we need cryptocurrency? Why so much of, this jazz around, why India should be the next crypto hub? So what is it that it lies for us, like, in terms of, the future of our economy? What are the advantages? What are the pros? If you can throw some light on this.
Sure. So, for that, you'll have to look at the technology at first. So, blockchain is basically a public ledger. It's nothing else but a public ledger where, their records are stored. And records they do not necessarily have to be economic in value. Anything that has any kind of value, those records can be stored on blockchain. So, that kind of gives obviously makes leeway for smart contracts, for insurance contracts on blockchain. There are so many ways that DeFi is changing the world. DeFi is decentralized finance. So why do we need cryptocurrency? Because with cryptocurrency, the tokenized, if you're tokenizing an asset, then it becomes accessible 24/7. Anybody can access it. It becomes immutable, so the ownership becomes immutable. It's not that, okay, you buy something and then somebody can take it away from you. So this kind of would help with there are so many people, and I think almost every family would understand there is so much paperwork issues with property disputes, etc. When you put all of this on blockchain, that kind of goes away. You are completely transparent. You're making a system which is trustless, which is peer to peer. It doesn't have unnecessary fees involved in it. Like, there are third party fees that are so high, right? To register a house, there is a registration fee. Like, you're not just paying for that house, but there is like a huge fee involved there as well. With DeFi, with blockchain, that kind of goes away. The fees are less, the time is negligible, it's almost instant. So in this day and age, it doesn't make sense that, if I have to transfer money to, say, Switzerland, to pay a freelancer, or to Africa for XYZ, then it takes like over a week, okay, for it to actually hit their bank account. And it doesn't make sense that, the kind of money that is charged, it depends actually. What is the weirdest thing is that the more the fees are higher for the poorer the country that you're sending it to. So that's the irony, that shouldn't be the case. It shouldn't be that you're creating a monetary system and you are excluding so many people. So there are, I think, I don't have the latest figures, but mostly the entire population on this planet, only a very little fraction has access to banks. Mostly there are cash societies, and there are bankless populace that is there. So they don't really have access to a financial system. Blockchain changes all of that. Cryptocurrencies tend to change all of that. They give you everybody a level ground.
So, Tarusha, I'm very happy to tell you that, 100% of our audience members actually agree with you, and they think that eventually crypto will be legalized in India. So they are also pretty optimistic about this change. Yes, fingers crossed. And I think, yes, you have actually pointed out a very valuable thing, because, today I'm a lawyer and I see the amount of, the entire use case that actually blockchain can be put to, and how a lot easier can legal functions become. Like, for example, storing of land titles. So if I have a universal ledger, public ledger, where I can have all these land titles, that are stored, that's going to ease out so much of the function that is performed by the government revenue departments. And it's also going to reduce so much litigation. So I definitely see how, blockchain is actually cross-cutting along different professions, and it has a use case in different professions, and how it can, make things a lot easier. So, for people like me who probably don't know too much about this, can you just talk a little bit and introduce us to the concept of cryptocurrency? What is cryptocurrency? What is blockchain? And sort of break it down for all of us.
Sure. Okay. So as I said, blockchain is basically a public ledger, right? You're storing value there. You're storing the transactions that are happening. So what essentially happens is that when you are storing something on blockchain, it is basically a trustless P2P network. So every node, which is just a computer on that particular chain, blockchain, I'll give you an example of Bitcoin. Okay, just let's taking that an example. There are several types of cryptocurrencies. We just talk about Bitcoin. So for Bitcoin, initially the thing was that if you're going to be recording something, like the transactions are being recorded on blockchain, there are several nodes. So all the nodes have to actually agree that that transaction has happened. So it is not that, okay, if one person wants to, really pull a Mickey over your eyes and, pull a Mickey out of you, they'll say that, okay, this transaction didn't happen, and you feel cheated. So there is an entire system, and most of it has to be worked by consensus. So this technology works in a P2P way, and thereby it the Bitcoin bit of it works with, to put it very plainly, solving mathematical problems. Okay, so any computer that kind of is able to solve the problem and is able to add that answer, to do this you require obviously electricity, and because there are miners who are actually putting in their machines using electricity to mine Bitcoin, they get rewarded when their particular node is able to solve that particular problem statement. Okay, so with that, that is how Bitcoin works. Obviously then we can go into a very detailed discussion of proof of work versus proof of stake. Proof of stake is basically the miners have to put in some money, so that they are not in any way tarnishing the records. But though that is like just getting too technical, ultimately cryptocurrency is basically our digital currency. So look at it this way: even the fiat in your bank is actually essentially digital, right? Right now, if even 3% of the Indian population, they go and take out all their deposits, the banking system would collapse. It's a system built on debt. So just ignore the technical aspect. Look at it this way: that, okay, you have a digital currency that people believe in, and that they are ready to accept as a payment, and as give it as a payment method. So that is what ultimately cryptocurrencies are. These are digital currencies, where, if there are a certain section of society, they believe on its value, because ultimately that is what fiat is as well. You just believe. It's about trust, right? That, okay, this particular piece of paper that I'm holding in my hand has 1,000 rupee or 2,000 rupee value, right? Because ultimately it is not really backed by an asset. Because as some people really don't understand this, when I bring it up, they are really surprised. But in 1970s, the gold standard was abandoned. So your fiat money, which has evolved from actual gold or barter system, actually, that it was barter system, then they started using gold, then they kept the gold with the emperor or the government who issued them these notes. Now currently your fiat money is not backed by any asset. So the central banks, they print money based on primarily demand and supply. They can say whatever they want, but ultimately, because there is no asset which is backing it, so it's basically a system of debt. And then a system of debt tends to, it can collapse. And more importantly, your banks don't even have insurance. Like right now, it has been increased from 1 lakh to 5 lakh. So if you're holding, say, 10 lakh rupees in your account, if your bank fails, you'll just get 5 lakh after the PMC debacle. So this is why decentralization is important, because banks have too much power. They have too much power over your money. They have too much power saying, okay, no, I'm going to limit the amount that you can take out. Right? There are several countries where this is happening currently. I think in Lebanon it has happened. In Germany, people are being told, okay, they can't hold gold, as a personal asset up to a certain amount or beyond a certain amount. So the idea is that there is too much autonomy there, and there is too much concentration of power. Crypto, in essence, changes that. Cryptocurrencies are basically digital tokens that can be traded as real money and can be used as real money. There are several kinds of cryptocurrencies. There are several kinds of digital currencies. There are also currencies which are, if you don't want to place your belief in a mathematical formula or just the technology aspect, then there are also currencies that are called stable coins that are actually backed by a physical asset. So what, I'll just give you an example very quick, that with Oro Pocket also we are doing something similar. We have gold and silver stored for the users under bailment. So it is their gold and silver which we are holding, much like what Paytm does, except that, we are also tokenizing it. So essentially, you have Oro Pocket token, which is 100% backed by gold, and it's 100% insured. It's 100% auditable. So you can actually move your gold and then do secondary trading, or perhaps send assets across the globe. instantly nearly, which would be impossible with fiat money. So stable coins is the way to go if you really want to just give it a start, and if you are confused about which cryptocurrency to put money in, place your money where you feel you understand it a little bit. I don't give out financial advice in general, but I would say that if you want to start with cryptocurrencies, then read up a little about them, understand different types of the coins that are there. Obviously Bitcoin is the most popular and the oldest, so read about it. And if you think that okay, you're still not convinced, then perhaps put your money in a stable coin, some a coin that is actually being backed by an asset. So there are also currency stable coins. So there is USDT, which is basically a tether. So those stable coins are they have the same value as the underlying currency. So start somewhere, because you owe it to yourself to give yourself that option, that you shouldn't be at the mercy of banks 100%.
I think you've really broken it down pretty well. And before I come to the meaty part about how people should go about investing in cryptocurrency, whether it's a safe investment or not, I see a lot of questions in the chat box about maybe the reason why cryptocurrency is not preferred is because of the fact that it's associated with the black market or the dark market, or being associated with nefarious activity. So could you kind of just do away with
Sure.
this misnomer here, because I think this is the way a lot of people look at it.
So only yesterday, this is coincidence, but only yesterday I tweeted about this. FATF actually came up with a report, and it said that less than 3% of these nefarious transactions actually happen in crypto. So there is, again, I will break it down for you. I'll give you perspective. Okay, I'll paint you a little picture. So when electricity came out, newspapers were full of reports saying that okay, we are going to get electrocuted, and things are just so going so good so far. Why do we have to change it? And everybody was ready to not accept it. And now, right now, we are able to facilitate this via electricity. We can't even imagine our world without it. So whenever a new technology comes in, another example would be perhaps telegrams, or when the telephone was there and people started doing phishing calls, right? All of these scams are always there. And with any new technology, what happens is criminals adopt it first, because they are not really risk averse per se, and they have a lot of moving parts as it is in their business. So what I'm trying to say is not to be facetious here, but criminals would always be there. But the thing is that there are more good people than them. There is more of us than them there, and as I said, like, and now I'm not just saying this because it's actually there by the FATF, or TF, that they came up with the report that said it's less than 3%. So it is just a wrong perception. So even in the 90s, when you and I were kids, we were told that okay, don't go online, it's like a den of pawnsters and scamsters and pedophiles. It still is, but it's so much more, right? So you can't really hate on just because, say, for example, a website goes down online, right, on the internet, stops working for some reason, the server is down. You don't cancel the whole internet, right? You don't say okay, I'm done with the internet because this website is not working. I understand that there are scams, and that is why I'm saying education. It's very important to be well informed, take informed choices. Ultimately, these are financial decisions that you are taking. They come with any kind of disclaimer that go with any financial investment. Like with mutual funds also, they have like a huge disclaimer, right? So read, understand what you are putting your money in, and don't have that perception that okay, these are just scamsters. Just remember the internet, like it was also supposed to be just a den of monsters and scamsters in the 90s, but it is so much more than that. And that is what we need to understand when it comes to blockchain as well. It's a very new technology. So that is something that you need to understand the beauty of the technology and what it brings to people who are, say, unbanked, people who do not have access to the traditional monetary system. Like only yesterday, I think I saw it in Venezuela, or I'm not sure which. I think it was Venezuela. They basically had all of their currency notes, and in Zimbabwe, I think I had seen a picture, and they were dumping those notes because those notes have no value. Their currency has fallen that much, like it has been devalued that much, and so much of it has been printed. I think all of us have seen that 1 trillion note or something of Zimbabwe online, right? When there was hyperinflation. So that happens for a reason, because the system, there is a rot. that there is no transparency, there is such opaqueness that you don't know what is happening to your money. Your money is ultimately being lent out to other people. Bank is just showing you, that is also digital, what you are seeing. कि okay, इतना पैसा है आपके account में, that is digital. It's not that okay, you will go and you will want to take out all of it. You can't take out all of it any which way. Like they put all kinds of hassles and obstacles in your way if you want to empty out your account. Even via ATM you can't. So that is the way you should understand that the kind of liquidity that banks give you is ultimately it's like cheating. It's a system which is built on debt. It's bound to fall. And and I'm not saying that okay, go out and buy all the cryptocurrencies and but I'm just trying to say that okay, give yourself a chance. You should give yourself that option. That's just sound maintain a sound financial hygiene, in the sense that okay, diversify your investment, make crypto instruments an asset class in your portfolio, just so that you are really taking care of yourself. Because these systems that have been created, which so called take care of you and support you, they will as soon as they fail, they will abandon you. You have to look out for yourself. We saw that with the in recent, I think 6 months, 3 banks have failed in India. And that's horrible. Like so many people die, they have their entire savings, and it's heartbreaking. And that is something that you shouldn't like let banks have that much power over you.
Yeah, I think you've made some very good points there. Now let's come to the investment part of it, because we have thrown so much of light on it. I think this is another misconception I would love for you to address, that whether cryptocurrency is actually a secure investment or not. Is it a good idea to include cryptocurrency in your investment profile today? What are your 2 cents on this?
Okay, so again, I always preface this by saying, because that I don't give out financial advice, and I think but I would say that it's not about how secure. See, I don't like that question, because as I said, even mutual funds come up with a disclaimer, right? Do your entire reading. Equities come with that. It's even with real estate, right? Like, you buy something, you don't know whether it's going to appreciate. You're just thinking that, okay, it might appreciate at some point. You do, obviously you can study and make an informed decision based on some other factors that you take into consideration. But I don't know about secure or not, because I think no investment is ultimately secure. Even your fiat money in your bank is not secure. So let's be clear about it. Like, it's not secure. Even if you're keeping it in your house, like if you're keeping money in your house, it's losing value year after year because of inflation, because of the failing economies and the kind of devaluation that fiat currency see year after year. So I don't think that anything is 100% secure. So you have to do your own DD and do your own due diligence before you put your money anywhere. Having said that, I would absolutely say yes. I think I'm a big proponent of somebody who encourages people to get into DeFi, get into blockchain, study it, and then make an investment if you want to, or at least become a part of this, revolution, so that you can be more relevant. Because as you said, blockchain is not just about cryptocurrencies, right? It's a beautiful technology in itself, and it has such intersectional advantages. Like, it can be used in so many sectors. So and right now, currently, because the kind of day and age that we are in, every company is ultimately a tech company. And so if you're a tech company, then you can use new technologies that are coming into the foray, and blockchain has a lot of potential there. So what I'm saying is, essentially study the technology, because once you study the technology, you will fall in love with it, with the kind of advantages that it brings forth in terms of token economics or smart contracts or any other application that is being built on it. So definitely, yes, I would say that you should look into it. You should look into investing into the popular cryptocurrencies. You should look into investing perhaps into stable coins if you're not that comfortable. Look into, study it. You shouldn't be living under a rock. You shouldn't think 10 years down the lane, that, okay, I perhaps should have given myself a chance. Give yourself an option. You owe it to yourself, right?
Yeah, I think, Tarusha, that makes sense. So, a couple of people asked us in the chat box that, if you're somebody new to the idea of cryptocurrency and you want to invest, so, what is the starting point? Where do you start from? What are the kind of, websites you look at? What are the exchanges that you look at? Like, if you can just sort of give them like a few points where to start from, I think that would be really easy for everybody.
Sure. Okay, so I'll put you in the direction of say some books first. I think that perhaps do some reading before you get into this entire space. So there is Internet of Money. It has 3 volumes, so you can perhaps look into reading that, which is it's by Andres Antonopoulos. They are brilliant books. Will give you a very good overview into Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, blockchain. Why is it necessary? You should look into. There is another book. I'm forgetting the name. It's by Saifuddin Amus. I don't know how did I forget the name. It's just gone right out. I'll probably put it in chat in a bit. There is another very good book which is by CoinGecko. It is How to DeFi. Or that's it's a very good introduction to decentralized finance. So if somebody is looking into getting into this decentralized space, blockchain space, particularly finance, then this book would be a good starting point. Other than that, I would say before you start investing, if you're not a very big reader, then at least follow some people who are in this space. The blockchain space in India is very, very small. So there are only few people who are actively working and pursuing projects here, and the companies here. So you follow them and try to get some. They are all very helpful and open people. I know that personally because I'm a part of that ecosystem, and everybody is very happy to help and clear out your doubts. So do reach out there. Now, coming to your question that what websites perhaps somebody should look at. So if you're looking at just tracking, coins and their prices, then Coin Market Cap is a good place to start. CoinGecko is a good place to look at for stable coins and for DeFi. For exchanges, there are big exchanges. So India has WazirX and India has CoinDCX, which are really doing a decent job. If you want to broaden your horizon and perhaps invest in more, have more options basically, then you can look at making an account on, say, Binance or on Coinbase, and get started with this journey.
Sounds great. Also, if you can tell us, Tarusha, how did cryptocurrency fare during this pandemic?
Okay, so cryptocurrency as an asset is more volatile than most because it's in its infancy. Okay, so I think people come to there is people usually have this concern that it's a very, very volatile asset class. I understand that there is volatility, but what we are trying to make you look at is the bigger picture that comes with this particular sector in this space. So as I keep saying, just go back to the technology. You will understand that you'll understand why it's important to sort of have crypto tokens and digital currencies right now. Okay, I'm just going on a tangent, but I do want to mention, I think China has already rolled out plans for a central digital currency, and they also already have like Didi 2, which is a huge cap player in there, to actually do a pilot for them with those with that currency. And I think it's very important that governments get involved in this space and propel this innovation forward. I'm sorry, what was your question again? I started.
No, no, no. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
What I was saying was, how did cryptocurrency fare during this pandemic?
Right, right. Okay, so I think as an asset class, it's very volatile. So it has been going up and down, but I think a lot of money is moving towards precious metals in this time when people, fiat is constantly being devalued and people are losing their jobs and the economies are in a bad shape in general. So it's moving. The money is moving towards precious metals. It's definitely moving towards cryptocurrencies as well. I think DeFi currently, there is $5 billion, I think, logged in DeFi contracts currently. So, and you need to understand that this is a very, very it's in its infancy. So because it's in its infancy, that is why there is volatility. But you need to have patience with the volatility as well, because there is volatility again. I sound like a broken record, but there's volatility in equity as well, right? When you do, like, the share market is very volatile too, depending. So it depends again on which token, because there are so many tokens. There are over, I think, 1,200 tokens. So it depends on which token you're talking about. But I think in general the outlook has been great because people are looking more at alternative investments now. They're looking at they want to explore these options because they have more time on their hands, perhaps because they know that, okay, fiat is kind of constantly getting devalued. So yeah, they have fared well, I think. Keeping the volatility aside, I would still say that the lot of money has been flowing into these sectors, and I think it's worth a while for everybody to check it out. Not necessarily invest, but yeah, definitely get educated about it.
Yep. So, a lot of people again asking questions on this. There are different kinds of digital currencies, right? Bitcoin is not the only one. You have Ethereum and you have others as well. So,
Yeah.
what do you think? Like, which one of them is a little more stable? And also, one of our audience members actually wants to know that since there's so many different kind of cryptocurrencies, how do you kind of figure out which is genuine or which is not?
Okay. So see, there was I will start with your stability question. Thinking about, I don't think that any currency any crypto token is very stable, because there is a lot of volatility in the market, because there are usually a lot of pumps and dumps depending on the token. But having said that, as I said, that if you perhaps look at stable coins, so there are coins that have their value underpinned to an asset or a currency, like the USD Tether. If you look at it, then that would be less volatile, obviously, because it is pegged to the value of the dollar or any other currency. Or if like I gave you the example of my own token, like the Oro Pocket token, so that is pegged to the value of gold. So it is a stable coin. So perhaps you can look at stable coins initially, and then look at crypto tokens if you are actually looking for stability. Having said this, again, do your due diligence. Do not ever invest anything more than you think. Like, do it according to your risk appetite, basically. And regarding the question of how to choose amongst all of these tokens that are there, I would say that you need to look into the team that is behind it. You need to look in the community at time, because these most of these projects, they become, ultimately at some point, they become open source. So there is a huge community actually giving contributions to that project. So look at the community, look at the team, look at the use cases that that particular coin or chain is propagating. Look at the kind of usage that is there. So again, with coin market cap, you can see the kind of market capitalization that any of these tokens have. So that kind of gives you an idea about what kind of usage or what kind of capitalization, as I said, the token has. So all of these factors are important. Obviously, as I said, there is no alternative to educating yourself.
Yeah.
If you're going to be investing, then you have to actually do your due diligence and then put in money. Just don't put in money just because आपके दोस्त के चाचा ने एक coin start कर दिया, because anybody can start a coin. It's very simple. But you have to do your due diligence before deciding, okay, this is the coin that I want to go forward with. And also, don't think of it, unless you're an intraday trader, don't think of it like a get rich quickly scheme. Like, that is, I think that goes with any kind of a investment instrument, right? That it's not okay to look at it. If it is like a get rich scheme, then perhaps it is a scam, and stay away. Because you need to understand that, okay, this is also, and it's in actuality, it is also an investment class that you are investing in, and you're putting in money in. So you can, there are things that you can do with it. You can do trading, you can hold it, or you can sell it, or whatever. You can do arbitrage. But that kind of goes with any investment, I think. So you have to do your own DD.
Yeah. So, actually, there is another question which our audience member has asked, and which I think can be, clubbed, with the segment we're talking about right now. That how is cryptocurrency valuation, how is it carried out, and how is it different from, each other when you talk about these different digital currencies? So I know that's a very comprehensive question, but if you can just.
Yeah. Sure. So, every currency works on an underlying blockchain. Okay. So there are a lot of tokens that use the Ethereum chain, but they are not all Ethereum tokens. Okay, so they use the same protocol and the technology, but they've created their own token on top of it. So there are utility tokens, there are security tokens, there are different kinds of tokens that can be created. And so the technology can be, underlying technology ultimately is the same for everything that is in this space. It's blockchain, but over, above that, there are protocols that are created, and then there are chains that are made. So that, it ultimately depends on why that particular coin was created. So for example, Ripple was created to make it easy for to make it basically fast for cross-border transactions, right? For faster cross-border transaction, Ripple is another token that was created. So that is the main function and the main essentially what why it was created. So that kind of does matter. As I said, you have to understand why a token was created, understand how much is the market capitalization to really understand whether it's like a scam or whether it's going to last. Because see, for example, the same example that I gave you, Ripple. I think Axis Bank is now using Ripple's technology to do cross-border transactions. So you need to sort of understand that, and how is the value created, the value decided. The value is basically decided based on, see, the value of Bitcoin does not change. One Bitcoin is one Bitcoin. It's basically the fiat currencies that are kind of moving up and down, and there is demand and supply. So it's basic market play there, that okay, the fiat currencies are kind of falling or they are rising, and then there is, based on that, because you are pegging the value of Bitcoin in terms of fiat, then there is pure market play. It depends on demand and supply. It depends on the kind of utility, as I said, and the kind of usage that that network is seeing.
So, there is another question that people have. And again, I think it's important for us to clarify these misconceptions. Do you think that with investing in cryptocurrency, there are any issues, like any privacy issues that arise? And second, in the same breath, I'd also ask you, would you like to, actually throw some light on whether blockchain can be hacked? Because as I understand it, the fact is that, this is what makes it really the best option in the day-to-day, because it cannot be hacked.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you can sort of address both of these questions, that will be great for our viewers joining.
Sure. So, talking about whether it can be hacked, no, it cannot really be hacked. Like, it will take millions or thousands of years to actually crack it. So, virtually, it's unhackable. Nobody can really, and that is what makes this technology really solid. That's why people say that, okay, this is immutable, because once it is on the chain, it is there forever, because there is an entire network. So you can't just hack the whole network. You might be able to hack say a node, but even that is close to impossible. So what I'm saying is that, yeah, it's virtually impossible to actually hack blockchain, or any chain that is using the blockchain technology. And now, coming to the first bit regarding this was what, yeah, privacy. So no, actually there are no, so the all of these transactions that happen, these are pseudo anonymous. Okay, so you have your own wallet address, which is like a 16 digit alphanumeric sort of a wallet address that is there. You have to be careful with your private keys. So it's like, think of it, this is basic cryptography, but just think of it like you have the lock and the key, right? So if you're going to give your keys to somebody else, then that particular lock can be opened by somebody else as well. So the private keys are something that you should never share. So there is a public wallet address where you can perhaps give it to somebody who wants to transfer money into your wallet. They can do that. But then there are private keys which basically would give access to anybody to your wallet, and then thereafter shift that money or sell it or whatever. So those that basic hygiene needs to be maintained by you. So you can't say that, okay, I forgot my private keys or my that sort of a thing. You need to be careful about it. And regarding, as I said, regarding privacy, there are special coins that are just privacy. That their entire utility is privacy. But even in general, with blockchain, because all of these transactions are pseudonymous in nature. Like, unless they know your exact wallet address, that 16 alphanumeric thing, and they are just tracking that, it's very difficult to really know what anybody is holding, because people can have multiple wallets also, right? So it's not that all your if somebody knows your wallet address, then they're going to be able to track you, because there are different kinds of wallets, and there are different kinds of wallets for different kind of tokens as well. So
thank you for that, Tarusha. Now, the other thing I'd like to ask you was, we did speak about stable coins. But, now people are also talking about, the real tokenization of real assets. In terms of property, land titles, or anything, basically, putting a token to any sort of real asset. So can you talk about this new development a bit, and how that's going to change the landscape for us if this were to be allowed?
So I think tokenization of real assets has always been there, because there are securities, right? Like, so they are clubbed together and then they are sold. So that happened with the. It's not a very good example to give, but that happened with the 2008 crash. That there were a lot of CDOs that were sold, and then there was a crash because they were subpar. So tokenization, I think, of any kind of a property has already been done before, except that now it's being done on blockchain. So tokenization of an asset just essentially means that, say I have $100,000 property, and I want to just raise, say, 20,000. Then I don't need to necessarily sell the whole property. I can fractionalize it, put it on blockchain, and give out the shares for people to buy. So thereby, raising that 20,000 amount and retaining my property ownership. So this is just a very broad example to give you. I think real assets. We are already doing it with gold and silver. So we have put gold and silver on blockchain. You buy it, and it is vaulted. It's stored with us, and you can get delivery. But we also tokenize it for you, so you can actually move it out, and you can do secondary trading. You can trade that gold token against Bitcoin, or say wines or art, etc. The idea is that anything right now, currently, I think people are also fractionalizing racehorses and tokenizing racehorses, right? So what I'm saying is anything can be tokenized. Real world assets have always been tokenized, but now people are getting more and more, up for it, because tokenization actually helps you get ownership in an asset class which might have been out of your reach earlier. So say there is a very, very expensive painting, right, by Picasso. So you cannot, perhaps as a layperson, we might not be able to buy it immediately. It might be something that is actually out of our reach until we reach a certain point. But if you tokenize it, then a fractional part of it can be, you can be an owner, because then you'll be able to sort of invest a little in it. So I think real asset tokenization is the way to go. I think it's obviously a very small niche of this entire DeFi space, but people are doing that. People are tokenizing real world assets, and again, it gives you the same advantages that that come with blockchain. It makes that asset accessible. You can be sitting here and investing in a tokenized real estate property in, say, USA. The fees are very less. It is accessible. It has a broader investor base because anybody can invest in it. It's immutable, and the fee, the time associated with sort of cracking and closing that deal would be almost negligible. So all of those advantages come in, and I think we would slowly reach a point where people would be tokenizing all kinds of real world assets, just so that it can become a more level playing field for investors.
Yeah. I think, you've highlighted one of the very important and critical features, I think, of blockchain technology and cryptocurrency, the fact that it's democratizing wealth.
Yeah.
And changing the way that we're looking at ownership of assets. And it's giving people the access to own assets, which was earlier a dream to them and which was also only restricted to the, privileged few. So
Yeah.
that's where I see a major shift in the landscape happening today. Now, before I
Yeah.
end this session, I think one thing that I definitely want to talk to you about and hear from you with the kind of rich experience you have in the field. So, we're talking about, these path-breaking technologies and how they're going to cut across sectors. How important do you think that it is now educational institutions also to include these kind of courses in their curriculum? So today, like, for example, you were talking about blockchain technology, how that can have an impact on the law in terms of smart contracting. Or in the fact of how blockchain technology can also be studied in terms of ownership of assets. So how important do you think is it for students to get well acquainted with these fields? How should educational institutions rise up to the occasion today?
I think it's a brilliant question. I think it's very, very important for education institutes to sort of modify their curriculum as time comes, right? It cannot be the same curriculum that was there like a decade or 2 decades back. With the advent of new technologies, the onus is on these institutes to make sure that students are actually introduced to these new technologies. They get used to it, and they also develop their skill set, because if you want to have a future which is, if you don't want to be, say, fungible, right, and you want to add value to your company, then you have to constantly keep learning. The learning process never stops. But when you are actually, doing this entire organized learning in an institute, then this is all the more important to at least give students an option to look and, perhaps delve into these new technologies. Because it's not just that, they are going to be, as I said, they're going to add to their skill set. They are also, they might just experience a breakthrough. You are giving them an opportunity to create more innovation in that space. You are giving them an opportunity to perhaps learn something new about themselves. And you're also giving them a little push in the direction of exploring new areas, which is very important. Because what if this particular student is supposed to be, like, I don't know, a great data scientist, and that kind of a subject is not offered in the college or whatever. That it's just, it shouldn't be that they are cut off from certain subject matters because the curriculum has actually not evolved. I think curriculums need to evolve to include all of these subject matters. You owe it to students to do that, and students need to obviously learn new things to add to their skill set and become valuable contributors to in whatever space they are working in. It's not always about getting a job or making money. At times it's just about growing as an individual, and that kind of growth will also come when you open yourself to new ideas. It's very, very important that that is done. And I think, apart from new technologies, I think our curriculum should include stuff on financial hygiene and how, sort of how to do your create wealth, basically, because that is something that is never really taught. And you have to sort of learn it on your own, and developing a good, good financial habits from the very beginning. The power of compounding, or starting small with savings, or diversifying your portfolio. You hear a lot of this, but none of it is ever taught. And I think if it would be taught, then we would be creating individuals who would be contributing to an abundant society, rather than coming in from a space of scarcity. And so it's very important not just to introduce them to new technologies, but to any kind of new ideas, and letting them strive to become the best version of themselves.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you shared that view with us, because you'll be very happy to know that Vijayabhumi University, India's first liberal professional university, we're actually looking at offering courses in data sciences, artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, smart contracting, where students have the option that they can be doing regular professional degrees, but they totally have the option of curating their own degrees and choosing majors and minors in all of these path-breaking areas and new technologies. So with this,
That's
I come to with
That's
this, I
really
come
if I had that option. When I was like, studying and doing my own humanities degree, because I come from liberal arts too, and I think kudos to you guys, because I think liberal arts are so important, and letting people, students choose what they wish to do is also very important. I'm sorry I interrupted you, but
No,
that just made me.
absolutely not. I'm so happy to hear that, because I echo the same opinion as you, because I felt that, as a lawyer, when I was in law school, I was put in a particular silo, and I wasn't given the option of sort of exploring areas beyond my particular field. And that's
Yeah,
I also thought that, somewhere it did put me at a bit of a, shorthand when I got into the profession, because you sort of
yeah.
realize sectors are nowadays sort of, cutting across each other. So I think that is what we are trying to resolve with the curriculum architecture at Vijayabhumi. But this brings me to the end of the episode. Thank you so much, Tarusha. I think it's been truly inspirational to hear you speak about, the passion that you have for blockchain technology, cryptocurrency. And I think it's really been a valuable session for me, as well as the people who have attended it today. I must tell you, we just ran a poll right now, and 100% of our audience members feel that they absolutely loved the episode. So it's totally kudos to you. And thank you so much for taking your time from your busy schedule. I know you must be extremely occupied right now with your work. But the fact that you took out the time and came ahead and, educated all of us about cryptocurrencies, blockchain, I think it's truly amazing. Thank you so much again. And a big thank you to all our viewers who joined us today. I hope you guys are loving the content that we're curating on New TV. Please keep joining us on future episodes. We actually come out with episodes every week, so please keep following our YouTube channel and our social media handles. We go by the name View TV by Vijay Bhumi on YouTube, View TV 2020 on Instagram, Facebook. So you can follow us there. You know exactly what sessions are we doing. in a particular week. So thank you again, Tarusha. This would not have been possible without you.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for calling me. This was wonderful. I love speaking about blockchain, crypto, DeFi. You can make me speak all day about it. I love speaking about women entrepreneurship. So those are like my two games. So you called me on a subject that I can speak all day about. And in case anybody has any follow-up questions, you can just sort of reach out to me on Twitter or on LinkedIn. Tarusha Mittal on LinkedIn, Tarusha M on Twitter. I am very, very active. And just in if somebody is interested in checking out stable coins, I can perhaps share over an email. Perhaps I can share later with you a sign up link for Oropocket as well, and people can check it out if they want to delve into this, because we have a great knowledge base as well. So you can perhaps go through that.
Yeah, I think this is truly, truly amazing. Thank you so much, Tarusha. Also, I would request if you can put your details onto the chat box so that people can sort of.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So it's on Twitter. It's simple Tarusha M, and on LinkedIn I will perhaps share a link. Just give me a minute. I'll pull it up. It's actually simply Tarusha Mittal. If you like look it up, Tarusha Mittal Oro Pocket, it will come up. But nevertheless, wait, I'll just share it. I think it should be this. It's giving me a little trouble. My internet connection, the tabs was not opening. So I think it should be this. Otherwise, just Google me. It'll be Tarusha Mittal and Oro Pocket. That'll be the first result. And otherwise, this is my Twitter handle. I'm very, very active on Twitter. In case anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to take them offline as well. I can put in my email ID actually.
Yeah, that would be great, because then I think people would have to reach you over email.
So yeah, that's what I thought. Here you go. I've sent my email ID. It's going right. Yeah. So you've received it, right?
Yeah.
I think. Okay, cool. So yeah, you can just write to me, and I will respond back. I get really excited when people want to sort of get into blockchain, and I would love to talk to you about it. I'm happy to connect offline.
Super. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tarusha. I think you will be getting a lot of queries from our audience members. Also, guys, there will be a recording of this session will be up on our YouTube channel. So make sure you're subscribing to our channel, and you'll also get to know what's happening new on our channel. All right. Thank you again, Tarusha. This is me signing off, and we'll see you guys again next week. Thank you so much. Stay safe, everybody.
Stay safe, everyone.